Hey, hey, you guys. Um, so I just thought I would do a short video on life. Anybody interested in life? Who's interested in life? So, um, yeah, just wait to see if anybody shows up. Hi, you guys. So here's the deal. Um, Many of us, you know, question about life, and what are we doing here? Why are we here? What's this all about? Is there some secret to success? As a matter of fact, people are all since the dawn of time have been selling secrets to success, secrets to happy life. So, and I think it's hilarious in a way, and I just wanted to share a bit about that because what if, from our perspective of what we think we know, life isn't what we think we know. How do I say this? So we're looking at hi Mel, hi Nicole. To Do we want to live by a set of rules or a set of standards? If we're living by a set of standards, are they my standards? Are they your standards? Are they society's standards? Are they religion's standards? Or would we like to live connected to intuition, to source, to God? And what happens is that many of us have been corrupted, if you will, by a whole bunch of religious dogma when we were children, possibly, because somehow the society has believed that maybe it would be impossible for us to actually connect individually to source, and maybe they were right. Maybe we did need a set of rules, and God knows in our society today that there's the rules have grown. My gosh, and it's so easy to be off base with a with an off color comment, and or it's so easy to be judged by society. It's funny. I just earlier today on the news there was an article about Brian Adams, and Brian had made some comments because he's vegan, and he made some comments about the the wet markets, which, by the way, are everywhere. I've lived in Indonesia, and they're everywhere. They're not just in China. They're the serving live animals in marketplaces goes on all over the world. India, I suspect in places in Europe. But so he'd made some comments, and we jumped to judge him, and so society judges. We judge. I judge. Mel, I bet you judge. I can say that because you know what I mean. And so we're all being as careful as we can because we don't want to upset anybody. What if we didn't give a shit, in a way, about upsetting anybody? If we just told our truth in the moment, if we had a desire to be connected to source, to God, to universal intelligence, to love, to truth, and in that desire and practice of being present through meditation, through conscious introspective looking at ourselves to see who we are, we reached a state where we could rely on ourselves to be honest. And when am I dishonest? I'm dishonest when I'm in fear. When am I in fear? Often I've been in fear because I was afraid of not being accepted or not being liked, or and so imagine if we could let that go. If we could just let go of any wanting or any need or any desire to be loved or accepted, and just be ourselves and be comfortable in this thing, because some of us, have been around long enough to know that we can't actually get anything from anybody. Being with somebody to have them fill us up if we're not already connected is futile. We're not. It can't be gotten from outside. And once we've tasted the source, there's just, it actually doesn't hardly make sense to be with somebody in a sense of a relationship, the old style of relationship, that has any restrictions or any conditions on it whatsoever, other than being there in each moment because that's where we want to be in each moment, not out of obligation or compromise, because obligation and compromise always leads to some form of dishonesty. And so the old form of that doesn't seem to work, and it also doesn't seem to work possibly in when we're in business, or so the only way I think it can work is if we're in service, if we're there in whatever it is we're doing because we love or we want to be in service. And even that is questionable sometimes. I have these moments where I think, why the hell? I feel like no, I don't feel like this. I know that I've made a commitment to be of service, to help others. And I guess that if I'm going to be honest in that commitment, it's when that's appropriate. Only when that's appropriate, because I need to always check in and see what is appropriate. I've in the last, while, I've been sent lots of work in that area, and I just always have to check in and see when is it appropriate to share and care, to be there, and when is it not. And so anyway, back to life, what are we doing here? We've been given all of these ideas of what we should be, who we should be, and never really did anybody say, who are you? David, who are you? Nicole, look deeply, who are you? Because when we look really deeply, we discover that we're not who we thought we were. We've lightly held on to, and then sometimes very desperately held on to, ideas of who we think we are. And we're not. We're not somebody's mother or somebody's father in a way. I mean, we have these roles, but they're not who we are. We're not, because we've maybe gone and got a doctorate, we're not the doctor. It's something that we do while we're here. We're not the lawyer. It's just something that we do. So it's a bit traumatic, actually, when we start to surrender those titles, and let go of our desires to be something. Why do we want to be something? I've been looking at this whole thing a lot personally, because I've had this huge shift, and it really doesn't matter in the big picture what I do. Whether I just tend to my garden, stay home all summer, and play in the garden. This idea that life has meaning, that we're accomplishing something is shallow in a way. There's something beyond that we can, drop into, that we are already in. And so anyway, play with that. If there's dissatisfaction, just even a little bit inside of you, if there's restlessness, if there's discontent, if there's resentment, if there's judgment, if there's fear, if there's complaint, recognize that that's from ego, from this sense of being, from this creation that your mother told you you were, or your father told you that you needed to do these things, or your society, or your church, your education, the fucking Brady Bunch. Some of us grew up on that, What's his name? The Fonz. And all of that stuff, went to create this thing of, of who we think we're supposed to be. And we're always judging ourselves and falling short. So we're dissatisfied with ourselves, with our bodies, and with our position, with our money, with our, because we don't know who we are. We don't know who we are. So if you want to discover who you are and be really set free, because nothing will be missing when you discover who you are. Nothing will be missing. Nothing is missing now. But the realization of that can come. So that's, and sometimes I think, what the hell's the sense of me even sharing this? Why, who gives a shit, eh? But, I guess that as I look around me and I see so many people drinking themselves into oblivion, or, trying to outdo the neighbors by what they own and all that kind of stuff, and I know the misery's there, and I think, oh, maybe I can help. Maybe I can help. Do you know who I think of? I think of Robin Williams. I think, gosh, in a way, I imagine Robin Williams was a deep thinker. And he didn't just kill himself because he was depressed. I think that he saw the futility. He saw that this really doesn't mean that much. And so where do we go from there? How do we find what this is about? If we're stuck in this idea, hi James, thank you. If we're stuck in this idea that I'm only somebody if I'm a father, or I'm only somebody if I'm successful in business, or I'm only somebody if I have, a hot chick on my arm, or a good-looking guy on my arm, or I get, how many followers on Instagram, Holy shit, those things are just nothing. They're nothing. And so if that's nothing, what is it that we find that's something? Where do we look for? How do we find this something? I'm really active. I've been very active for many years in the 12-step world, and it's a spiritually awakened program. It's very, it doesn't lead us to a set of rules. There's no dogma. There's no right and wrong in there. There's some direction around, around being loving, but it really takes us to a place where we live free in intuition, with a connection, with a God-centered life, if you will, but not with rules and dogma. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful, and it's simple to do the work, but not easy sometimes, because ego is so ego really holds on, to these old ideas. Ego says, you can't not do this without me. But to have this freedom, we need to be able to be prepared to surrender this idea that we know what's best for us. We don't know. Everything that's in here, everything that we've programmed or been programmed, has been programmed by our society. And our society, we all stand back and say, is fucked. We think, to a great extent, it's got some big flaws. There's problems in it. It's, it's kind of greedy. It's kind of materially based. It's, it's sexist. It has a lot of, there's lots of social problems with it. So if we're part of it and we'd like to lift it up, then we have to be coming from a higher place. Not higher as in better, and not higher as in special, but really our natural state. Before we were born, we were what? Something. Something was in that little baby. What was that? We all look at little tiny babies, a day old or 2 days old or a week old, and many of us just cry. We go, oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. What do we see that's so beautiful? We see God, clearly. Many of us who've had children recognize that. We're like, oh my gosh. And they go from that to, what some people will call the terrible twos, what happened? They woke up to their separateness. They woke up to that they were not who they thought they were. That they were, now they were this little being trying to figure out what to do and how to be. And so if that God was there before, he's still there, she's still there, it's still there. The isness of that is still there in you. Now, how do we tap into it? How do we tap into it? If we do tap into it, then we're free. We're like, oh my gosh, I know how things work here. I can operate. I can feed myself. I'm not like a little baby that's dependent. I'm tapped into this infinite intelligence that I came in with. Right? So it's there. It's possible. And freedom is in that. Then we're not concerned about whether somebody likes us or not, or whether we're fitting in or not, or whether we're alone or whether we're not alone, or whether we have enough. We're okay. Everything gets looked after. And we access this power that's greater than us, that's unbelievably immense, because it's the power of life, the power of love. So I encourage you, through meditation, through self-examination, to see what it is you believe, and are your beliefs true? Read the greats. Read the Bhagavad Gita. Listen to Muji. Listen to Ram Dass. Listen to Alan Watts. And recognize that these people have done the work to help you to see, help me to see that we are not who we thought we were. We're not just cogs in the wheel. No, we're part of God. We have access to that universal intelligence, and that's not sacrilege. Most religions actually tried to separate us from God. They told us if we believed in some idea, we would have a life everlasting. Well, it's not just a belief in that idea, it's an experience of that idea. It's an experience of that oneness that we have. It doesn't have a name. It does not have a name. As soon as we give it a name, it's then down into, we've made it small, we've made it limited. So it's nameless. It's immense, it's beyond. Can't be named. Anyway, thanks. Love you guys, and just meditate, pray. I have 3 little prayers. I just want to share them with you, 3 little prayers. So imagine that there is something here that, is not just an intelligence that has any concern for us in a way, because it can't be concerned about us. We are it. It isn't worried about us. It doesn't see us as a separateness. It's only us that sees ourselves as separate. But it is available to us. And one of my little prayers is, please help me. Help me to see. Help me to serve. Help me to know who I am. Help me to recognize you and recognize me. Please help me. It's just a very simple, very humble prayer. Not help me get anything or help me to be anything. Just help me to acknowledge myself, who I am. Thank you is another prayer. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just gratitude, humbly asking for assistance, and gratitude are beautiful prayers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just a million times thank you. And just say it. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. Sometimes I fall asleep just saying thank you. And it connects me. You know, I become one with this thing in the thank you. Please help me and thank you. And the other one is show me what you'd have me to be. You know, if I'm going to be here, you know, allow me to serve. Allow me to give this away. Show me what you'd have me to be. That's it. Show me what you'd have me to be. And those are my prayers, basically. And so I encourage you. I share those with you. And love you. And meditate. Sit. Quiet. There could be nothing more important than discovering who you are. Nothing. Nothing could be more important than that. Awakening. And it's happening. I believe it is. I believe it's happening for lots of people now. You know, and there's a certain urgency to this, I believe. So wake up. Wake up. Okay, you guys. Love you. Be here now. If you ever want to talk, just call. You know, if you want to chat about this, you know, because sometimes I had a young lady that called me today, and basically because I've said, you know, call. And she called and she said, yeah, but how do I do this? How do I pay my rent? How do I? And my job is not, you know, I'll listen, but my job is not to deal with the problem side of things. My job, I believe, is to lift you up so that you can see as we rise up, as we come up to a higher level of vibration, a more, you know, in a way etherical, the problems disappear. They look after themselves. They really do. When we focus on the problems, they get big. They're, oh my God, how can I pay the rent? Oh my God, how can I, you know, we can become overwhelmed by them when we live in them. You know, what about my stuff? It's funny because, you know, I talked to somebody else today who was really upset about she'd lost some of her things, and she was just really upset that she'd lost some of her things, and yes, I guess that you know, we have a right to want to hold on to our things, but it is stuff. It's just stuff. So lifting you up is my job. So I love you guys, and like I said, if you want to chat, just call and let's chat. Anytime. Meditate. Yeah. Pray. And serve. Serve your friends. Listen. Share love. Practice giving love without judgment. Just be there and listen. Be patient. Be compassionate. We're all at different levels of this awakening. Okay. Love you lots.